Getting strong, getting good at something, mastering something, accomplishing something, that doesn't always mean it's going to be glamorous. It doesn't always mean it's going to be fun. If you're trying to build a 900-pound squat, there's not going to be a lot of 800, 850, 875-pound squats. You know, there's going to be a lot of 600, 700, 800-pound squats. You know, lots of reps at that weight. You don't spend a lot of time working on patients, seeing patients, performing surgeries if you want to be a doctor or a surgeon. You know what you spend a lot of time on? Education, preparing yourself for that. You don't just set out and say, I want to squat 1,000 pounds, and then all you do is squat 1,000 pounds. There's levels to this shit. There's a process, and sometimes the process isn't fun. And it's really easy to get discouraged when you have this high grand goal and all you want to do is lift heavy and do awesome things, and reality kind of sets in that that's not quite how the process works. And I can relate. I 100% remember when I started out training as a powerlifter, and all I wanted to do was go heavy because my body allowed that. My body allowed me to go max, 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 max all the time with little rest. I can remember so many occasions where I would have a competition on a Saturday, max out on all my lifts, PR on all my lifts, and then on Monday, I was benching as heavy as I was on the meet day. And I did this because my body allowed it, and I really, really wanted to do it, and I thought that's how you got stronger. Luckily, I was introduced to people at a young age that eventually got it through my head that that's not how you get better. That's going to work for a short amount of time. It's not sustainable. If you want to become great, this isn't how it's going to work. If you just want to be known in your gym for a strong person and somebody who lifts heavy all the time, and eventually get your elbow dinged up, get your shoulder dinged up, and you just kind of fade away into obscurity, you know, that's your priority, that's your prerogative, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if you are someone who has a genuine goal, someone who wants to be more than just a gym rat, someone who wants to be more than just king shit in a small pond, there's bigger processes at play, and you have to understand the little stuff sometimes has more meaning than the bigger stuff. For example, I've come across it in my past where I'll be around people who are extremely strong and are young enough to where they can go heavy all the time. And it's not necessarily a bad thing to let them ride that out and experience it for a little while, because it is fun and it kind of keeps things fresh, but you kind of lose sight of the bigger picture if you indeed have a bigger picture. So if that bigger picture is to be a leader, world class, you know, top of the hill, king shit, then you have to reevaluate things. If you're getting tripped up on the fact that you have to do sub-maximal weight for continuous reps or short rest periods, there's a purpose behind that. You don't just dream of having a castle and the next day it shows up. If all you do are thinking about castles and you're not thinking about how to build that castle, you're going to be left with a big empty plot with nothing in it. Instead, you need to think about all these individual training days that seem insignificant. One brick in compared to this massive castle that you want seems very insignificant. One brick doesn't seem like anything. But if you go through this period of thinking that these little bricks are insignificant, your castle is going to have a lot of holes in it. There's going to be a lot of discrepancies with that foundation. That foundation is not going to be solid, and that castle is going to come crashing down. If you think that you're going to build a castle in a year or two, laying you know, a brick at a time like you're supposed to, you have a rude awakening coming to you. But if you want to accept the fact that this is going to be 5 year, 6 year, 10 year, 15 year long process, but at the end you're going to be remembered as one of the best that's ever done whatever you're doing, you have to sit down and say to yourself, I'm going to lay this brick, and I'm going to lay this brick as perfectly as a brick can be laid. I'm going to put all of my effort and I'm going to do it right. And I'm going to make sure that that is the best laid brick that could possibly have been laid on that day. You have to think about that in your training. So instead of looking at what you have to do for training that specific day, don't look at it in the sense of, I want to squat heavy today. I want to fucking kill it. But I have to use this little tiny weight. It's not challenging at all. Instead of saying that, why not say, I am going to murder every one of these reps. For every rep that I'm prescribed, my technique is going to be flawless. I'm going to master that technique. I'm going to use these 15, 20, 25, 30 reps as a sharpening stone, just to put a wicked edge on my blade. Don't think of it as, this weight is insignificant, this isn't going to do anything for me. Go into that training session and tell yourself, I'm going to put the most amount of effort into this weight, these reps, this rest period, these accessories. I'm going to destroy these accessories. Because if you build a castle with quality bricks and lay those quality bricks the right way, you are going to have an impenetrable, epic, badass castle at the end of it that nobody can throw stones at. So if you're trying to get to 1,000, you need 1,000 ones. But if you look at it in the terms of just ones at a time, ones are pretty insignificant if you're looking at thousands. But you can't get to 1,000 without 1,000 ones. So it is extremely important to take your time and understand that even these days that seem insignificant to you, that seem useless and worthless, these days hold so much more value, so much more importance, so much more merit than the days where you're lifting heavy for a rep or two. Lifting these lighter weights, learning how to be explosive, learning how to drive through each rep as if it is maximal weight. So when you get to maximal weight, you don't have to think about technique. You just do. You don't have to think about driving through the weight as forcefully as possible, because that's all you've ever done. So if it's all you've ever done, you don't even have to think about it, not even on meet day. So if you're getting discouraged with where you're at and it's hard for you to comprehend the fact that some days are going to be light, some days are going to be insignificant from the outside looking in, go into it thinking like a perfectionist. Go into it thinking like a professional. Like, I'm going to do this task to the best of my abilities. So it's going to lay a solid foundation. So every one of those days that I lay down with perfect technique, perfect what's the word I'm looking for? Perfect execution, it's all going to build up. It's all going to build up to this amazing end game. Because if you lay down the foundation in this huge castle with these shitty bricks and shitty mortar, and they're all laying sideways, and there's gaps in it, you are going to have just a horrible castle. Even if you even get to the end product of having a castle, whether you have a shitty castle or not. Stop thinking about castles. Think about how you build that castle, and you're going to get farther, better, stronger, more accomplished than you ever thought you could. All of these insignificant days are extremely important, and tackle them as if they were.